First of all, thanks a lot. Thank you everyone for joining us for the Tachyon Networks webinar. I will present, so essentially a couple of things to inform you all. At the end of this webinar, we would have a questionnaire. So there are some prizes to be given out. One is their latest, the recently launched switch, which is on display right now. Second is a device NF302, which could be used for point-to-point and CPOs as well. And for all those who have joined us, you all will get 10% the pricing off. You'll get 10% off on the pricing until the end of July. So without further ado, I'm going to pass on the stage to Mr. Jonas. Mr. Jonas has been a good friend of mine for the longest time, and he's very good at presenting. So he's been in this industry for a very long time. So without further ado, Jonas.
Okay, hello everyone, and thanks Mohammed for the introduction. So today I'll show you the products of Tachyon Networks and also tell a little bit more about the 60 gigahertz millimeter wave frequency itself and its specifics. And we don't have a very wide range of products, so the presentation is quite compact and will not take a long time. Also, pay attention to details, since Mohammed mentioned there's going to be a questionnaire at the end of the webinar where you can win some nice prizes of the new products which we have just launched. Also, there's a questions tab on the webinar, so if you want to clarify anything, just type your question there, and then I will try to answer all of them after the webinar. So I will start with my presentation. First, who is Tachyon Networks? So Tachyon Networks is a branded arm of a company called A Devices, and this is where I come from. We have offices both in US and Lithuania, and the A Devices company was founded back in 2011. We currently have more than 100 employees. In half of them are software and hardware engineers, and others work in our manufacturing facility. We also are authorized design center for Qualcomm and Peraso, so we've been doing quite a lot of designs based on their chipsets. And A Devices has been developing millimeter wave products since year 2016, so we have quite a lot of experience, and we work with all major hardware vendors. And talking further about the devices, all the manufacturing which we do is done in Lithuania, in Europe. There we have 2 full SMT lines, product assembly and testing. Our manufacturing facilities ISO 9001 and 14001 certified. And last year we produced and shipped over 500,000 of wireless devices, which also includes millimeter wave devices. In terms of sales, we sell through single region partner normally to cover the major markets. Then I'll talk a bit more about 60 gigahertz band, as it represents some new big opportunities for wireless ISPs, for security companies, for those who really need a reliable, high-speed data transmission. So as you all know, 60 gigahertz, it's part of ISM band now, together with 6 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, and 2.4 gigahertz. But in terms of spectrum, 60 gigahertz has 90% of the total available spectrum in the ISM band. Yes?
Sorry to include. Is there a possibility where you can make it full screen for the slides to be full screen?
Are the slides not full screen at the moment?
No. Yeah, now it is.
Oh, okay, sorry. So, continue further. 60 gigahertz band also doesn't have DFS or AFC requirements, meaning radar avoidance or spectrum coordination. So in those terms, it's much easier to operate. And then latest technology allows us moderate or medium distances with no aiming needed because of the specific beamforming antennas that are being used on the base stations and also client devices. Also, what's important to take note of is that 60 gigahertz is affected by rain, but it's perfect for mid to high density deployments, and in the next slides I will explain why. So actually 60 gig band is like two bands in one. It has 6 different channels available, and as you all know, 60 gigahertz is absorbed by oxygen quite a lot, meaning that it's not good for long distance, but on the other hand, it's great for sort of high density deployments, since basically the spectrum self-cleans itself and you don't create self-interference, you don't pollute the network. Upper band is not absorbed by oxygen that much, so upper channels like 5 and 6 are better for longer distances, and we support the full band with the latest products, while some of the other competitors only support the lower band, which is only good for short distance communication. Another important thing to take note of is the rain fade, meaning that rain impacts 60 gigahertz links quite a lot. And I have put a map on this slide. Maybe it's a bit difficult to see, but all world is divided into different rainfall regions, and the Middle East also has multiple different rain zones, starting from A, where there's like zero rain anticipated throughout the year, to N, where you have 95 millimeters of rain per hour that is anticipated. And it's with 60 gigahertz products, it's really possible to anticipate the distances and engineer the links that the connectivity never drops. You can use our link calculator to sort of make sure that you have decent margin for your link to operate even when the rainfall conditions are happening. And on the bottom of the slide, we have an example of 2 nines uptime for different rain zones. In this case, it's zone E, which is 22 millimeters per hour. And you see that the attenuation on different channels is 9 dB. Also, as I mentioned before, we have a link calculator where you could select different Tachyon Networks products and calculate the estimated distances and availability of your link in different range areas. And now, moving into the products, I would like to introduce the first radio products for Tachyon, which is TNA 301 and TNA 302. You can see the highlights listed, which is multi-gigabit speeds of 2.3 gigabits per second in either direction. Also, the distances we support are in a range of 1 kilometer. We have industry-leading client count per sector, which is 32. And then because of the beamforming antennas with the wide azimuth and elevation coverage, the devices are super easy to aim. Also, we have a nice and easy to use intuitive management system where you only need to change a couple of settings to get your links up and running. And we've been doing tests with some of the distributor partners in US and UK, and even salespeople from the distribution organization were able to set up links in minutes very easily. It's super simple to configure and control. Then
sorry for budging in. I just want to inform you all that there is a POC going on. I have not got their permission. I have not seek their permission yet to publicize it, but there is a POC that is happening right now in UAE.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Mohammed, and we'll be glad to hear more information on the POC later once you can share it. I hope there's a lot of more POCs happening soon as well. And on the wireless products, we have two different models which have same look and feel. So TNA 301 by default comes as a access point or base station, and TNA 302 is more like a client device, but it can be used as an access point for longer range point-to-point links since it has a more narrow beamforming antenna as well. The antenna gain on those units differs by 2 dB. So TNA has 120 degrees by 50 degrees beamforming antenna, while TNA 302 has 40 degrees by 40 degrees beamforming antenna. And as I mentioned, they have the same physical look, so the only difference is antenna gain and characteristics. And the point to multi-point scenario is the main use case, while we also support point-to-point as well. The links which we recommend to use those products for are sub-kilometer, and the devices have one 2.G gigabit port plus an additional 1 gigabit port with the PoE out to handle some cases like powering additional Wi-Fi access points or cameras deployed for video surveillance. Also, it comes with a nice software features like management VLAN, data VLAN, DHCP option 82, and so on. And we support full and half channel sizes, which means 2 gigahertz and 1 gigahertz channel sizes. So in total, on our products, you can have either 6 or 12 channels available for data transmission. And for the management and for the configuration of devices, we have Web UI. We also support SNMP, and we have a RESTful API which can be used to configure the devices too. Then talking about the distances, the sort of recommended distance that we support really depends on the channel which you are using, and the lower band channels 1 to 4 are for shorter distances, while channels 5 and 6 can support longer distances. And this graph, which you can see in the slide, shows the maximum connection distances between the TNA 301 and TNA 302, so base station and client device. But in case you are using two TNA 302s for a point-to-point or point-to-multipoint scenario, you will be able to have slightly longer distances as well. Then also maximum connection distance depends on different range zones, and here in the graph we have done an estimation of maximum connection distance in different range zones for the upper channels and the lower channels in 2 nines availability. So the best zone in Middle East is zone A, where you have basically zero rainfall available, and zone N, which is the worst one. It can go up to around 400 meters on upper channels, and around 360 meters on lower channels as well. So basically what we recommend is using upper channels for the backbone of the network to achieve longer distances, and then lower channels for the last kilometer data distribution, where you also need to preserve the spectrum and not to create additional interference for your deployment. On our website, we have a suite of different calculations and tools that are important for 60 gigahertz millimeter wave deployments, and they are useful for both Tachyon Networks products, but some of them are good for third-party equipment too. And then while we are still proceeding with the further development, there will be more tools available on our website too. The link calc is free to use. You don't need to do any specific registration, so you can just basically go and play with the different figures by selecting the device for access point and station mode, different channels that you're using, the target modulation and throughput which you want to achieve, and also target distances which you would like to achieve. And there you would get the results, what kind of RSSI levels you should expect, what is the total of signal budget that you have, and here on the slide at the bottom you see that even if you deploy a 500 meter link with channel 6 and operate it on MCS 8, which is 1.7 gigabits speed, with the rain rate of 62 millimeters per hour, which is a very high rain rate, you will still be able to run your link at MCS 1 and will not lose the connection on the device. Comparing Tachyon products to other competition is we basically stand out in terms of cost per subscriber of units to be deployed. So we support up to 32 subscribers. We also support channels 1 to 6, so full 60 gigahertz band, and then maximum capacity is 2.3 gigabits. And what's also important is that a single client can get more than a gigabit speed if you, let's say, deploy a point-to-point link or multi-point link with 2 subscribers, which is not possible with other vendors. And then here's a couple of most specific use cases for the Tachyon Networks devices. So first one is multi-gigabit point-to-multipoint deployments for the fixed wireless broadband. Another good example is video surveillance deployments, and another additional PoE out gigabit port really helps here, since you can power up cameras and don't need to do additional wiring from the pole to do the powering and data for your deployments as well. In terms of point to multi-point broadband, it's good for fiber to subdivision edge, and then 60 gigahertz as a distribution of the last kilometer. Then also it's good for campus applications with high-speed Wi-Fi connectivity and building-to-building connectivity. Also distribution of multi-gigabit links to MDUs, multi-dwelling units, which then get let's say cable inside to distribute the data to multiple tenants residing in the MDUs, and also, as I mentioned, for outdoor cameras, video surveillance networks. Then another product which we have besides wireless devices is a multi-gigabit switch called TNS 100. So in total it has 5 to 2.5 gigabit ports. Those ports also support passive PoE, and the device itself is indoor, but it supports industrial temperature range to work in harsh environments. And we have a DIN rail mounting option, so you can mount it into, let's say, standard outdoor enclosures for the outdoor user. It's also perfect for Tachyon products, since you can connect up to 4 Tachyon wireless devices on a single tower and power them with this PoE switch. In terms of software functionality, it's VLAN aware, and then it uses the same easy management system to do the configuration of the switches as well. Then a little bit more data. So as I said, it has industrial temperature rating. Talking about the ports, first 2.5G is PoE in, and the next 2.5G ports are PoE out with software control. So you can basically enable and disable the PoE power on the ports. And the last one is a 10G SFP plus port for the optical connection in case you need it. The input voltage and output voltage is from 19 19 watts at 24 volts and 41 watts at 52 volts. For VLANs, we support trunking and access, and we have the same management options that our radio has, which is web UI interface, also SNMP, and then RESTful API management as well. And here are the most, let's say, common applications that our customers are using the switches for. So with a 48 volt 1 amp PoE, you can power up to 2 TNA devices with a single switch. And we also have another more powerful PoE adapter, which is 48 volts and 4 amps. So with this one, you can power up 4 TNA devices as well. And then in terms of further development, besides the TNS switch, which we have just launched, we also have TNA 303, which is a longer range reflector dish based design for point-to-point, point-to-multipoint connectivity. We also have a larger switch called TNS 200 with more additional ports coming out later this year, and then some more products in the pipeline as well. So yes, thanks everyone for watching, and then I think it's time for questions and comments.
So for everyone, there is a section where you have a question icon. You can submit your questions over there.
Yes.
One of the questions was asked by Mr. Eric Hansen. What is the maximum distance on 302 to 302 PTP?
Right. So I think now maximum distance is 1.4 kilometers.
Great. So, if you all have any other questions, please write it down. List it down over here. I have a question.
Okay.
So, how do you compare Tachyon to what Ubiquiti and Microtech has to offer? If you can answer this.
Well, in terms of UI wave products, we support a higher number of subscribers per base station. So let's say the total cost of deployment per subscriber is lower. And then in terms of let's say the application, we really position our product to be sort of last mile division of data and connection of customers. So we don't really go to and suggest using the products over extremely long distances like 4 to 8 kilometers, where in the case of rainfall you would definitely lose the connectivity, and then 5 gigahertz would need to kick in to work as sort of a recovery mode. So our position is like a solid 60 gig last mile multi-gigabit connectivity and easy to use intuitive management interface, and at the same time best cost per subscriber in terms of point to multi-point deployments.
Sure, thanks a lot. There's another question from Mr. Farad Burki. He says, do you cover the Libya region? Most definitely, yes, we do. You can get in touch with us. If you can get in touch with your with the person who's in charge of your account, or you can send an email to sales@extreme-me.com. Yeah. Any other questions that you all have? So the presentation was clear. I'm sure everybody Understood it. And so moving on, just want to let you all know that we will have stocks of we have stocks of TNA 301 and 302, and we will have stocks of the switches also as well within about 2 weeks. So please let us know if you all have any requirements. We can help you all design the network also as well. Another question for Mr. Harish Kumar: what's the throughput between TNA 302 to TNA 302 PTP when it's 1.4 kilometers? Is the throughput in half duplex or it's full duplex?
Throughput is half duplex, but the max capacity we can support single direction is 2.3 gigabits, since we have 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port on the devices, and then the throughput on 1.5 kilometer distance will be around 1 gigabit.
Great, super. Mr. Riju Thompson has a question. Can we have a copy of the presentation? Yes, definitely. There will be a video made available on YouTube. You will receive a link for that in about 2-3 days. Mr. Said Gamer has a question. In PTMP solution, one base station connects to how many subscriber terminals?
Right, so one base station can connect up to 32 subscriber terminals.
Great. Any more questions? So, Mr. Said, this might be interesting to you. So, we are essentially compiling a list of countries. 60 gigahertz is considered to be unlicensed, and Saudi Arabia is one of the few countries, one of the countries essentially allowing this. This is something that you might want to take into consideration. We're looking at UAE also as well. Yeah.
So yes, in terms of let's say frequency restrictions, I think US is leading, let's say, the opening of new bands first, but then what we see is that a lot of other countries follow afterwards. So I think in quite a short time, this week's frequency will be available in all over the world, since it really helps to let's say avoid the interference and take the networks to next level in terms of speed, since you don't cross interfere with yourself, with let's say neighbor ISPs, with neighbor deployments. And the oxygen absorption also helps a lot, because it basically the signal doesn't travel far below the receiving point. So in terms of self-interference, that helps a lot. Also, the links are extremely safe, because no one else, let's say from outside, can really scan and see your network, since normal, let's say, handheld devices like mobile phones, laptops, don't have 60 gig radio, and that's also additional point in terms of security.
Right. Mr. Harish Kumar has a question. Is the unit's proprietary use Tachyon PoE, or we can use any market available DC PoE or so?
Normally units come with a PoE that we supply, but it's a standard 48 volt PoE, so you can use what you have as well.
Mr. Said of East Saudi has mentioned, he has remarked, yes, indeed, the only issue is the distance. As you know, we have connected far distances. Yep, so there is a place for Tachyon system. Again, 2.3 kilobits per second. There is a place for this.
Yes, in terms of distance, right, we now are sort of in a 1 kilometer range, but with the new dish reflector product, the distance will also grow. I would say to at least 1.5 kilometer in terms of point-to-point connectivity, maybe even 2. So that's, I think, quite well enough for, let's say, video surveillance, for let's say, subdivision of last mile connectivity to the end users as well. And it's then, yeah, a lot cheaper to deploy, faster to deploy than to, let's say, dig fiber into, yeah, multiple buildings.
Mr. Eric Hansen has a question. How do you expect these to behave below negative 30 degrees Celsius to negative 40 degrees Celsius?
Well, the units themselves, they are industrial temperature rated, so they will definitely operate up to minus 45 degrees as we test. And then for these units, maybe bigger issue is the heat because due to high capacity radios themselves and the powerful CPU generates quite a lot of heat. So we had to do a very good heat dissipation. That's why half of the enclosure for the product is metal, and we make sure we have large enough surface to dissipate the heat generated by the radio and coming in from the outside environment.
Mr. Gino Varghese has a question. Cost of microwave spectrum in Middle East. Cost of microwave spectrum, like Mr. Jonas had mentioned, in certain countries it's free of charge, and in certain countries it is a licensed frequency. I don't have the exact the cost, but I can help you find that out. If you can let me know exactly which country and the city that you plan to use this, we might be able to assist you with that. I just want to also mention one of the beauty about this place, this product is the competitive pricing. Obviously, I'm not going to be announcing it. I mean, so get in touch with us. The pricing is quite competitive for the device itself. Mr. Harish Kumar has a question. We have one site quite high, example 40 meters. Then the other side, 5 meters. Do we have option to uptilt or down tilt units? Is such mounts available from Tachyon?
No, currently Tachyon standard mounts are not suited for up tilt or down tilt of the units, since we have quite a large beam of the antenna which it uses to connect. And then I think in terms of your case, of course, it needs to be experimenting if if one unit still connect to another. It depends also on the distance between the two locations that you want to connect. But there are multiple let's say mountain brackets or options available, like a pipe which you can then connect to Tachyon units and then have some additional tilting done if that's required.
Harish, you can get in touch with us and we would be able to help you out with this issue.
Yes, if you can give us the coordinates, distance of the link needed, we can do estimation and then tell you if you need to do additional tilting when deploying the units.
Yep. Ronnie Ernest has a question. How good is the signal penetration to within a building?
Well, so 60 gigahertz doesn't penetrate walls. That's also one of additional benefits, I would say, because you don't pollute the spectrum, you don't create self-interference. It's made for outdoor point-to-point, point-to-multipoint connectivity, so I don't see any, let's say, big advantage of it being able to penetrate the walls, since client devices are using different frequencies to connect.
Great. Any questions? So we'll give 3 more minutes for the questions. Just want to let you all know, for those who have just joined us, we are Extreme. Our forte is telecommunication and wireless products. We have a presence in our main head office is in Dubai. We are setting up office in Saudi and in Zambia. So that's one, and we will essentially have more webinars. So the plan is to have webinars every 3 weeks or at least once a month, where we would be highlighting a brand or product and talking about this. So please subscribe. You can get if you are new to this, you can send us an email and we'll put you on our newsletters. Also, we've got a YouTube channel which you could subscribe to for some latest videos that we'll be uploading soon. Yeah. And then any more questions? So quiz time. So there will be a quiz that will be made available within the next few minutes. So whoever gets everything right will be basically there will be a draw. So all the names or email addresses will be put on draw, and there will be 3 people picked up. So the first person will get a brand new. All of them are brand new. So they'll get a Switch, and another person will be getting a 302 TNA 302 unit, and third option I can't remember. You must have been notified, and everybody who has participated in this webinar, thank you very much. You all will be getting a 10% discount, which would be made available until the end of July. Yep. Any questions? There you go. So it's quiz time. So the quizzes have started. Best of luck. No cheating, please. So right, I think we can take our leave right now. I don't think you all can finish. Maybe you can stay for a few minutes and then we'll give it another 5 minutes to complete the quiz. Fantastic. I believe everybody participated. Some very interesting results. I believe you will be notified of the winner in just about a day. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to join in on the webinar. We appreciate it. If you all have any questions, anything, please let us know about it. Jonas, thank you very much for taking the time.
Okay.
It was an interesting presentation. Well done.
Thanks
so much.
Thanks for the opportunity, and then we look further to more webinars and more sessions with Extreme. And
thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.